This is devastating. Some more Buccaneers updates, injury updates in particular, that really just feel frustrating to keep updating everyone on, but it's the nature of the game, something that we have to talk about. And it's a big piece, and several pieces we do have coming back, but we also have some pieces that we're going to have to wait a little longer to get back on the field. I'm Sebastian with Buccaneers Digest. Welcome back, everybody. It's the 4-1 Buccaneers. We can't be too upset. It was a thrilling win over the Seahawks. The Bucs sit firmly atop the NFC South. But it's also, we've got quite a gauntlet of games still to go. I mean, the Seahawks, Eagles, that was just the beginning of it. We got, the 49ers, a team that no one can take lightly, especially us who have struggled with them quite a bit in the past. And then, the Lions on Monday night. Patriots don't look like, any slouch either. The Rams, Bills. It's the last bit of the schedule, you could say is a bit easier, but at the same time you just never know with the NFL. So it's just got to be, take it 1 week at a time and try and get to 5-1 this week. But yeah, some injury update that isn't really the best thing to talk about, or our favorite topic of conversation, especially after such positive vibes. But that's just kind of how we have to go about this thing and kind of keep you all updated on what's going on with the team. So before delaying, just make sure to subscribe, like, comment, all that good stuff, and let's just jump right into it because there's a lot. First things first, Greg Auman had to say that the Bucs aren't setting a specific timetable for tackle Luke Goedeke's return from his foot injury, but the team is hopeful he'll play again this season. Injury shouldn't be a season ending right now. That framing is a bit terrifying, if I'm being completely honest. We really don't want, Luke to be like on the verge of a season-ending injury. I mean, we're already missing our right guard with Cody Mauch for the season, and we lost Kalijah Cansey for the season. Potentially he could come back for the playoffs. We'll see about that. But Luke Goedeke is... he's become a very strong right tackle for us. He just signed an extension before the season, and now it's like we're wondering if he'll come back this season. It seems like that foot is bothering him more than we might have seen, because we put him on IR after the Texans game, I believe. So it's been 3 games since then. We were hoping after this game with the 49ers that there was a chance he could come back. So now it does not seem like that's the case at all. Maybe we might have to wait even until like the bye week or something. We just don't know. They don't have a specific timetable, but that's kind of like really concerning framing that they gave it. They don't know when he's coming back. They don't know how he's progressing, how it'll progress. They don't think it's season ending, but at the same time they don't know. And it's just kind of one of those things that like we can only hope. We can wish Goedeke the best and keep supporting him and keep supporting the team. But this is concerning news to hear, to say the least, because you don't want to. I mean, listen, I respect Charlie Heck. I actually think he's been doing a heck of a job. In Goedeke's absence, he has given up a few sacks, which I don't think Goedeke would have. But at the same time, it's really hard to find backup tackles in this league. And all things considered, I mean, Baker, with what he's been forced to work with what Josh Guzard has had to work with all these replacements, all these backups, forced to make big plays. I think it's been a superb job all around, and now Baker is firmly in the. A lot of people would say he is the MVP frontrunner, and it's really, really exciting just to see throughout this week a lot of like the big pundits saying like giving Baker his flowers, and really, really just praising the guy. And Baker doesn't seem too overwhelmed or fazed by it, which I really respect. He's like, they hate you when you're playing bad, but they also love you when you're playing good. So he's gonna just try and move on to the next week and keep playing well, which you gotta love. So anyway, but it's gonna be harder when you're missing your right tackle, and who's one of the better right tackles in the league. That's just kind of the nature of it. We hope he can come back this season at some point, but now it's become from maybe after this week to we don't know. We will see, but we're gonna have to wait for some more updates because it's a very vague update, but at the same time, not a good one. And then another update, in terms of good sign for Bucs, that cornerback Jamel Dean and Christian Izien and guard Michael Jordan were practicing during the portion open to the media today. So those are big things. That means we can have some guard rotation, maybe even tackle rotation with Michael Jordan. And Jamel Dean, we'll take any help we can get in the corner room. Christian Izien as well, just considering how obviously depleted we were during the Seahawks game, and that secondary was really struggling versus Sam Darnold and JSN. So that's some good news there. But they did not see Chris Godwin, unfortunately, Benjamin Morrison, Mike Evans, or Bucky Irving. So my prediction of Mike Evans coming back for the 49ers game does not seem correct. It seems like we'll have to wait at least another week for the Monday night game against the Lions. Bucky, same thing. He's been posting a lot on social media, but we really don't know when, if it'll be next week he'll be coming back or how he'll progress. Benjamin Morrison, this is kind of something that we've been worried about a little bit, that he's a great player, but at the same time, he has had a struggle staying on the field. There's a reason why he dropped out of the first round and into the second round, because he was a first round talent. He is a first round talent, but he's only been able to play so little. I mean, he did really well against the Eagles, despite that being a loss. But at the same time, it's like, listen, man, we're really struggling here, and it feels like this hamstring is just going to keep lingering on him for quite a while. So we can only hope for him to come back soon. Thank goodness Izien and Jamel Dean are on track to come back this Sunday to play against the Niners. But just not great news for him. But Bucky, Mike Evans, that's not anything too crazy of news. But at the same time, okay, so now it's like, okay, Godwin is now a question mark for Sunday. Will he play? Which is unfortunate. We knew that he was going to have a slow rollback to getting back into playing shape and playing for him. He had a drop against the Seahawks that was very unusual of him, because you could argue he's had the surest hands in Buccaneers history. But yeah, it's one of those things that, okay, if Godwin's out, it's just all on Emeka's shoulders, Sterling Shepard's shoulders, Tez Johnson. Like, these guys are really gonna have to step up for us, because man, all the faith in the world in Emeka. He's been brilliant, but it's good to have a deep receiver room to kind of spread the field and make sure that they're not double teaming Emeka already, which that's very much on the table. We just got to see whether Chris Godwin's good to go or not. But, now it seems like it's up in the air. Bailey Adams from Pewter Report had to say, if there's been one catalyst for the Bucs find a way mentality so far in 2025, it has to be Baker Mayfield. He is truly playing at an MVP level, with Tampa Bay's franchise quarterback having completed 65.1% of his passes for 1,283 yards and 10 touchdowns to only one interception through 5 games. He has, of course, engineered 4 game-winning drives in the final minute of the fourth quarter, and he has done so behind what has largely been a banged-up offensive line, and with Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Jalen McMillan, and Bucky Irving all missing varying degrees of time. So that's kind of what I wanted to point out. It's the fact that these guys have been doing a brilliant job, considering just how limited they've been. This roster is so deep, they're so talented, and there's been a lot of adversity that they've had to face so far this season, and they've been mostly, for the most part, overcoming all of it. So it's just a matter of getting guys back on the field. Can we get back in terms of health, in terms of the playoffs? We will see. The bye week will definitely become very, very useful when that comes around, because just guys need to get healthy. But Baker so far, cannot say enough about him. MVP front runner. We've been talking about, right now he's the third in betting odds, but most people are talking about him as, in terms of where we are right now going into week 6, he ranks number 1, which is really exciting. The Bucs have never had an MVP. Tom Brady should have been the MVP back in 2021, which they gave to Aaron Rodgers instead. But I think in the end, it's time for the Bucs to have our first MVP, and Baker being that guy would be sensational. Really, really excited about that, that possibility. But we're gonna have to keep the play up. We got some really tough opponents. I think Baker's up to the challenge. Josh Grizzard played, called his best game of the season in Seattle. Now let's bring it back home and do it against another NFC West opponent. So a lot still on the table, a lot of season left to go, and we'll see what happens. But then Bailey continued on Pewter Report by saying, and while Mayfield and Ibuka have led the way for the Buccaneer offense under Josh Grizzard, there have been a host of unsung heroes for that side of the ball during this 4-1 start. To Sterling Shepard has looked more like a wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3 than a wide receiver 5. Cade Otten has been selfless in the way that he's stayed to help Mayfield in pass protection, which cut into his target share until this past week. Graham Barton has been and Ben Bredesen played out of position for the first 3 weeks while the Bucs dealt with injuries along the line. And last week, Rachaad White stepped in for the injured Irving and scored 2 key touchdowns in our win over Seattle. So this is kind of what we're talking about, is the fact that we have guys stepping up. Sterling Shepard had the game-tying touchdown against Seattle, and it was like a scramble drill where he knew that he had to spin around quickly because he knew Baker would want to throw it to him then. So they have a really good connection that way. So we're going to need him to continue to produce in that sense. Have Michael Jordan, step up and on the offensive line with Goedeke out for who knows how long, including, Cody Mauch out for the season. And just other guys, like Dean really having to step up. He had a pick 6 against the Jets. We're going to need some more production out of him while we wait for Benjamin Morrison to get healthy and all these other guys to get healthy. So listen, we have to do with what we have, but the guys have really done a great job with next man up mentality, and I do believe that this team is capable of overcoming whatever comes their way. But question is for you guys, how do you feel about the Luke Goedeke news? How do you feel about Chris Godwin dealing with some more injuries? How do you feel about just the injury sense in general? Do you think that there's any moves that should be made, or do you think this is just something where it's just a pain tolerance, push through, and find a way? Because that's really felt like it's been the mantra so far this season, is we're never out of it. Just find a way, win the game at the end, and push on, next man up, everything like that. Sound in the comments below your thoughts, and we'll get ready for our game preview against the 49ers, which should be interesting. I will be at that game, so no stream this Sunday, but we will be I'll be updating while I'm at the stadium like we've done before, and then obviously doing a game recap afterwards. But, hopefully to get another win, going to 5-1, hopefully, where, would be massive. It's been such a long time since the Buccaneers have done that. So let's do it. I mean, it's next man up. Whoever's on the field, we'll get it done. I truly believe that Baker Mayfield will take us to our first MVP season. But anyway, and a Super Bowl ring. I need to say that. But anyway, until next time, I'll see you in the next video.